Welcome to the Goalist. I'm your host, Alicia. Today we're talking about a goal on my goal list, which is number 53, try karate and take a karate or martial arts class. I have not done this yet, but my friend Jezabel has. How long have we been friends for? A year and a half. And this came up because we had like a Friendsgiving party, and my friend's boyfriend was like, can we walk to your car? And she goes, no, I'm good. I'm a black belt. I was like, what? All this time and I didn't know.
No, yeah, it's my dark secret.
It's a good one. Well, I'm excited to hear about your journey and any tips you have for
Yeah,
learning.
I'm excited to talk about it.
Awesome. Okay, so how long did you do karate for? To what rank?
I started karate when I was 11 years old. I had a friend in school and she was like, "Oh, I just started doing karate. Would you like to come with me?" And I was like, "What? Okay, that sounds fun." I did it for 12 years and I went up to get a black belt first dan. Because after black belt, it's not like you're done. That's it. No, it's like when you really truly start to understand what karate is. And so I did first dan, and then you can keep going. I didn't. Then I moved to the US. But yeah, that took me about 12 years.
Wow, I didn't know that there was more beyond.
Yes. Yeah, there's different dans, and it counts for second, third, fourth, seventh. So there's many, but we're all wearing black belt. This is just you at the dance.
I see. Okay, that's really cool. So you started karate because a friend was doing it. Is there
Yes.
anything else or any reasons that drew you to trying it?
Yes, of course. I mean, as a kid, I was a scary cat and everybody would bully me. Everybody would beat me up. I was like, sure, here I am. I won't do
Oh,
anything. My self-esteem was really, really low. That was one of the things that my mom, because at the time I wasn't aware that it could help. One of the things that my mom was like, okay, I think this is going to help you in this specific topic. And then also as a kid, I grew up watching Dragon Ball, Karate Kid. So I was like, this is going to be amazing, really super strong. So it was a mix. And then, of course, I wanted to hang out with my friends. So yeah, I started practicing. I signed up to classes and I just loved it. Yeah. But that's why I started it. The mix between trying to be Dragon Ball kind of girl and hanging out with my friend.
yeah. Be a completely badass.
Yes, exactly.
Kick bullies' butts.
Exactly.
Amazing. Were you nervous the first time that you went?
Oh, yes, because there's this whole stigma, especially back in the 2000s, that karate is for boys. Like, what's a girl doing there? A weak little girl like me. So, yes, I was definitely not sure if it was going to be for me, but luckily the sensei that I had was really welcoming. There were other girls in the class, older girls, which, to an 11-year-old is like, oh my God, look at them. It's so amazing. They would have like brown belts and like so close to black belt and it'd be like, oh, whoa. So, yeah, I was definitely nervous, but I was very lucky to have the class that I had.
Oh, that's great. How did you find where you went? Was it where your friend went?
I mean, I don't want to say it a small town because it isn't, but there was just one place where they did karate. So there was no choosing what school because karate has different schools, different disciplines. There was one sensei in town and you would go to that one period. So I didn't really choose, like, I didn't do research of, okay, karate has this different disciplines and this one aligns with me. I was just very lucky that the one discipline they were teaching at my town really aligned with the type of karate that I wanted to practice.
When you started, did you expect to stick with it all the way through getting your black belt and even further?
In my family, we always had this rule that when you start something, you at least have to stick it out through the year. There was no quitting. My parents were like, if you want to start karate, that's fine, but you have to do it for the whole school year. And I was like, okay. And then there's a lot of commitment for your parents too, because you have to buy lots of stuff, like all the protections and all the gear. So they're like, you better stay. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'll do this for a year and then see what I want to do. But then me as a person, I love a challenge. And, when they tell you that if you stick it out, you're going to get a black belt, I was like, oh, well, that sounds cool. I just didn't know how much commitment that meant. I didn't really understand that it would be 10 plus years to get there. I was like, yeah, of course you're going to get the black belt, but I didn't know it would mean growing up while doing karate. But yeah, I did. I did quit for a couple of years because my mom was like, you have to learn English. So it made me quit for a couple of years. But then when I got the chance to go back, I went back to it. I liked how it made me feel.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big commitment.
Yeah, especially when you're that age. Advancing in your belts takes longer because you do half belts. So you do half a color. You start white and then you do white, yellow, and then yellow, and then yellow, orange. It's something they do just for the kids. I think you stop doing it once you're like 15. You can like jump to the full color. But as kids, as a way to make sure that you are absorbing everything to go to the next level. So it takes longer if you start as a kid.
And about how many times per week were you practicing?
2. I would do 2 at the beginning, and then at some point, I increased it to 3. It would be Tuesday and Thursdays, and then we added Fridays.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your journey through the process. What was the hardest part of training?
The hardest part of training was the repetition. I didn't know at the beginning what it meant to do karate. And of course, it depends on the school you're in. There are different different schools in karate. I was in one called Shitoryu, which is one of the 4 main ones. In this school, they focus not so much in like combat and fighting and more in like the discipline and like knowing yourself and the peace and harmony of the body. And so there's a lot of katas, which is just a bunch of movements, and you're imagining a fight with 2 to 4 people, and it's a dance, and you repeat those. It's a way of making like muscle memory. And of course, I wasn't aggressive at all. So the second they said fight, I was like, I have to fight, and there's no girls fight with girls, boys fight with boys. Everybody fights with everybody. So when I got paired with the 18-year-old dude, I was like, oh my God. So
Oh, not even age, like
no. Of course, you're not going to go hard on a kid, but as a kid having to fight this guy, you're like, so that was tough. The fact that it's very disciplined. We would do the same for months. At some point you get bored. So yeah, that was tough. Yeah.
wow, that's incredible. I had no idea. I thought they would break off into like sizes.
It depends. In my gym, my dojo, we didn't because we were in a lot of kids. So if divided us by age, I would have been fighting my friend day in and day out. But it also helps you balance your strength, finding somebody that's taller than you or bigger than you. It does help you. And Shitoru school doesn't go full contact, meaning that when you're fighting, you don't really punch. You just go to like touch and then that's it.
Can you share a moment when you felt like you'd made real progress or any breakthrough moments?
Yeah, so very dumb, but one of the things you practice when you do karate is falling. And so you practice how to roll your body. You do it so many times in class. At some point, you're like, oh, here we go again. And you constantly practice how to fall, how to fall. And you practice it, and they teach you how to put your head in a way that you won't get hurt. Just repeating it so much until one day I was at home and I fell down the stairs, and my body, without even thinking, got into position. And I just rolled down the stairs. I rolled properly. And my mom was like, oh, okay, karate is working. I didn't know that my body could do that. I didn't know that I had that muscle memory. That's why we repeat so much, because in the end, it's just stuck there. And that's the first time that I realized, oh, I am learning something. And I'm sad because I just fell down the stairs. But yeah, I was like, oh, I survived. And it was like a long flight of stairs.
Oh, wow. Oh, you rolled all the way down.
All the way down.
Oh my
Yes. Yeah. So that was the first time that I realized that muscle memory is real.
That's a big breakthrough moment. When it comes to building confidence, discipline, focus, we're talking about how your gym did a lot of this internal building. How has karate influenced your life outside of training?
So much. I would say it is one of the things that I'm most grateful for that you don't realize as a kid. But karate shows you respect for people above you, like somebody that has, a higher belt than you. You owe them respect. It also taught me how to like center myself and focus, because when you're doing a kata, you're really like you have to get into it and like visualize, and your mind is blank and you're just focusing on your movement and your breathing. So in terms of like handling anxiety, knowing how to breathe really helps me. And patience, 10 years plus to get a black belt. So you really learn about patience, all these little things you don't realize, but in the end, you end up applying it to like your life, your day to day. So honestly, that is the biggest takeaway. Like, yes, I can defend myself if somebody attacks, but that's like besides the point. How many times am I going to be attacked? Hopefully none. But
Be
so
prepared.
if it happens, I hope my muscle memory will.
Do you mind sharing the stories I think you shared?
Yeah.
I said,
So I did use once karate, not to protect myself from falling down the stairs. But I was once at a club when I was in college in grad school, and there was this guy being really disrespectful, and he touched my butt. I was like, "Hey, dude, don't do this again." He disregarded my comment and tried and did it again. And I pushed him and I was like, if you do it a third time, you're going to eat the floor. Maybe I could have used different language, but that's how it came out. After 5 minutes, he went away and then he came back and did it again. Rage came over me and I just grabbed his hand and like twisted behind him and put him down on the floor. Honestly, there's no weight difference or men or women, especially with a drunk person. He was classic drunk college boy, not paying attention to what I was saying. I was saying no, and the dude was fully ignoring me. There was people around that could clearly see me in distress and didn't do anything. So at some point, I'm like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I put him to the floor. The dude was just like moving like a fish on the floor. That was pretty hilarious. I remember when it happened. I just don't remember doing it. It came out. It was instinct. So that's the only time that I've had to use it against a person. I don't know how I would react to something bigger, but in that moment, it just came out to grab him and put him down on the floor. I didn't really hurt him or anything. It's just
yeah.
maybe his ego, but I hope that after that he learned. Yeah,
Follow your instincts. You have those skills when you need them.
exactly.
What values or lessons have stuck with you the most?
Respect towards others and towards yourself. That's a really big one. Sometimes things take longer than what you would want. Patience, which even though I've gone through many things that have tested my patience, like getting a black belt, I still struggle with it. I'd say just being respectful and having that patience is probably the biggest. And of course, the self-esteem, it did really help me to see that I am worth something and I don't have to allow people to walk over me. Somehow that really stuck with me after doing a few years of karate, after seeing that I, can defend myself and I don't have to put up with like stuff. Those three things would be the biggest, which is funny because they're not related to fighting.
But
Yeah.
it's huge. That self-confidence piece.
Exactly. If you get a good sensei, the guidance you receive from your sensei is so important. They kind of hint at it when you watch movies like Karate Kid or the TV series Cobra Kai. Sensei will really mold you. You're going to follow what the sensei says. So if the sensei is saying to you, no mercy, don't forgive, don't forget, you're going to follow that. But my sensei was more like, like Miyagi from Karate Kid. It was like karate is just a defense mechanism. Karate is much more than fighting. He did follow this very Zen type of like philosophy, and I do appreciate it a lot.
That's huge. I'm also wondering how that self-confidence may have helped you moving from Spain to the United
Oh,
States.
yeah, 100%. I don't know if it's fully related to karate or what, but yeah, of course, like moving away from what's comfortable to you, from your family, starting a new life definitely tests you. All that you learn in karate behind the scenes, behind practicing katas and fighting really helps you like be strong. I do think that it helped me. Yeah.
So for those listening who maybe want to try a karate class or even want to get a black belt, how should one get started?
Okay. So if I'm giving advice to adults, the first thing I would do is see what dojos are around that you can go to and see what discipline they follow. This is really important because there are many, many, many karate disciplines, but they mainly all descend from the four main ones. And depending on which one you go, you're gonna, you know, focus more on what I did, which was repetition and katas and like not so much fighting, which there's fighting, but not full contact. But if you go to another school and you're really into that fighting, then there are schools for you that will focus on that. Do the research on what type of school you want to follow. I would reach out to the dojo, see if they have classes that you can maybe go see before you sign up to see if it's really what you would like to do. It depends on what you want to do. Like a lot of people our age, instead of like committing to like the 10 years that it's going to take to do to get a black belt, they just want to learn a few moves and, gain that confidence. So sometimes they do self-defense classes which are based on karate, but it's not like the whole like okay, you have to do the exams, memorize stuff. So I would definitely do research on what is it about karate that you want to pursue. Is it the whole philosophy behind what karate is, like, or you just want to focus on, oh, I just want to do like combat. That's very important because it will change your experience.
Got it. That's really helpful. I didn't realize there were 4 different schools.
Those are the main ones. But after these four, like, there's always this person studied under the head of the school and then decided that, okay, I like this, but then I also studied under the school of this one and I also like this. And then they create their own branch. So that happens in karate. Even the four main ones are already branches from the two first ones. So there's a whole like tree. And then there's, of course, people that I I don't want to say that I don't agree with that with what they do, but they just don't follow any specific school. I don't like it because I like the tradition behind karate. I like the history. Here in LA, there are a lot of dojos that are a mix between different schools because the sensei has taken classes in different places and then they create their own stuff.
Oh,
So yeah, it's a whole world.
wow. And what would be one piece of advice you have for somebody who might be nervous walking in for the first time?
I'd say just do whatever you feel comfortable doing. The second there's something that you don't feel okay with, say it to the sensei. If they're good senseis, they will understand and they will adjust whatever you're about to do so that you feel comfortable. Like that is what's going to make a good sensei. But I think it's really important to know how to make that person comfortable with karate, especially if you're very new. If you are not nervous about the fighting, I would say choose a class that they aren't so focused in the fighting because then you won't be too pressured to do that. But yeah, I'd say that like it's really important that you communicate with your sensei.
What might be the biggest mistake that beginners might make?
Oh, the biggest mistake that I've always seen is people, kids or adults, that show up to karate class thinking that they're gonna be beating people up and like, just like right hooking. Those are the most dangerous people you can encounter in a class because they don't know how to handle fighting or anything. And they just go and go like super rigid when they're about to fight. That is how you break a bone. So that's the biggest mistake. Just go like head in and be like, I'm so strong. I'm going to show them. You're going to show them. Okay. Like these people know how to handle it. So don't go with like a pre-made image of, oh, okay, this is just going to be about fighting because it's not. Because karate is about defending yourself, not beating people up. If they want to do more attacking, maybe choose a different discipline, not karate.
There are a lot of martial arts.
And they focus on the aggressive side more than karate. Karate is about defense. And of course, you will learn how to beat people up. But that's like fourth in line of things you're going to learn.
Yeah, got it.
Yes.
What is a very, like, most basic move? What's the first move learn?
The first move you're gonna learn are the 3 ways to defend from a punch. You're gonna learn the high, then the middle, and middle out, and then down. These you're gonna repeat so much, so many times. In karate, we have feet positions with different names, and you have to learn them. And that's what you do every day at the beginning of the class. You just learn all the different ways to position your feet, which resembles a lot like ballet dancing.
Really?
Yeah,
I
it
was
was
thinking
like
about ballet.
first position, second position, and they have Japanese names. You will just memorize them. So yeah, those are probably the movements that I've done the most. Yeah, it's like up, down, down. They're embedded. So when somebody comes at you, you don't even
Instincts.
realize. Yeah, yeah. It's like the wax on, wax off. They were not that off in that movie. I mean, they don't make you clean cars, but the repetition makes it happen naturally to you when you have to use it.
Yeah. So a lot of it is a lot of practicing and doing the same things over and over for that.
Yes, it's like memory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Muscle memory. Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like a lot of karate is muscle memory,
Yeah.
self-confident,
Yeah.
and a lot of internal.
I think the self-confidence comes as a bonus when you're practicing all these moves. Somebody's grabbing you from your t-shirt or the neck and you learn how to let go. I think that's when you get the most confidence. Karate is all about helping the little guy get rid of a big one, which is what I love because most women tend to be smaller than our attackers. When your sensei, that's a black belt, probably like a 5th or 7th Dan, they're like showing you, you're like, of course you can get rid of that person. But then they teach you the little tweaks and tricks that to do, and then you practice it on somebody that's 6 feet tall, and you realize you can get rid of their grab. You're like, oh, wow. I mean, I don't want to say I'm powerful because that sounds very like villain, like powerful. But you realize that you've got strength, and that strength kind of converts to self-confidence somehow. At least it did to me.
Yeah, that's incredible. Learning some karate, you are inspiring me to now want to be at the level of black belt, but I don't know if I have the patience for 10 years. This is really helpful because now I know what to look for in a dojo and a sensei and to learn what kinds of karate are out there, do some research, know which one I want to do. And mostly I just want to do it for those self-confidence skills. That's incredible.
Yeah. For that, I would say start with a self-defense class. Those are awesome because you get a little peek into what karate could be without the boring parts of the repetition of the same movement over and over again. Every experience is different, but for me, my sensei was important person to me, and especially like I grew up with this man who saw me grow up. We always joked that he was kind of like a second father figure because he would teach you all these things and make sure also, I mean, as kids, he made sure that we would make our, like, do our homework and like behave and be good and respectful to people. And so you really create a bond with your sensei. And of course, you have to fully trust this person because he's going to be teaching you. But self-defense class, I'd say those are available many places, and it's a great way to see if you would like that type of thing.
Yeah, that's great. Start there.
Yeah, exactly.
So since this is the goal list and we're all about goals,
Okay.
what is something that is on your list of goals or that you would like to do?
I would say that one goal of mine would be to maybe get back to karate, even though, ever since I moved to the US, I stopped practicing. I was very fond of my sensei, and it felt like a betrayal going and finding another dojo and another sensei. I grew up with this person and really liked his style of teaching and him as a person. So I never got back to it. I do miss it. I would love to get back to it with my sensei.
Yeah.
Maybe, use it or practice it more than I do now. I do feel like it's been such a long time and I miss it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
Yeah.
Keep it and regulate that.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that I can do by myself. When you reach black belt, it's when you can start teaching. I can't practice by myself, but it's something that you just stop doing. You know, when you see these people in the park practicing like Tai Chi or yoga, like I could do that with my katas too. And like, I just don't do it. But I would love to like get back to it.
Do you think you would ever teach?
Not as like professionally, but if I had a kid, maybe I'd like teach her or him some stuff because I did like a lot how I was brought up into karate. So I would like to show that to someone else.
You seem like some great principles. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
As part of karate, this was honestly one of my favorite parts. There's discipline that uses weapons. And when I say weapons, I don't mean guns. I mean the traditional karate weapons, which many people could be familiar if they watched the Ninja Turtles. Those weapons.
Got it.
So nunchucks, sais, bow, tekos. At some point, we started introducing those in my karate line, and I loved it. That was just so fun to learn how to use weapons. I do regret not getting black belt in that. I only got brown, which is right below black belt, but it was so fun. Honestly, it's something I would recommend because there's the real weapons, which are mostly made out of wood or metal. And then there's the foam ones, which you start with. Those are so fun. I would recommend to everybody to do that, especially, if you've grown in the 90s, where you most likely have grown watching Ninja Turtles or Dragon Ball. Like, try it. It's so fun.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all this
Of
and for
course.
being here. Such helpful information. I hope that it's helpful for any of the listeners too. And if you have any questions or thoughts, comments, please leave them. Do you have anything else that you would like to?
Yeah. Well, I've been talking so much. I want to know why this is one of the goals. Why do you want to try karate?
That's a really good question. I made this list when I was in high school and I was just putting together. And as I was thinking about it, there were some that scared me. And I was like, maybe I don't want to do that. And then I asked myself, why don't I want to do that? As I was searching the internet for different ideas and stuff. And I realized that it's because it scared me. That's a reason to at least try it.
Exactly.
I mean, I've taken a couple self-defense classes here and there throughout life. And it was just, it never felt like enough. I never got that repetition. I think being a woman, especially, can be very, just, there's a lot that we think about, like just walking alone, especially at night.
Yep.
Especially when I moved to LA, it kind of moved up on my list then. I'm like, I want to just, I don't even need to attack or anything like that. But just
No.
having confidence in myself that if anything went wrong, I could trust my instincts, that I would be able to protect myself, hopefully.
Honestly, that's very important. The one thing my sensei would always say, and he will say it. I know that if I talk to him like right now, he would say karate is not about fighting. Karate is about hit and run. Just like, get out of the situation. You don't want to stay there. Just hit, defend yourself, and run for your life. That's all he would say to me all the time. So you are absolutely right. It's just about how to get out of the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will try karate and then report back
Yes.
because it is on my list. And that's all we have. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This was such a good conversation. I'm very
Yes.
inspired. And I hope that people listening are too. Any questions, any thoughts, please leave them and I'll try to get back to you.